watching Battlecast Primetime Update Edition. After months of asking, the wait is finally over. The Skrid invade the studio and show you some of their new units and powers in Kane's Wrath. Podcasting meet Battlecasting. Battlecast Primetime and all the Command & Conquer TV programming will now be making their way to an iPod near you. See why suddenly these long trips aren't so bad after all. What started out with 32 people has now been narrowed down to 1. We bring you the highlights of the first ever CNC League tournament and a special edition of the 5. Battlecast Primetime Update starts now. You're logged into a special update edition of Battlecast Primetime. I'm David Silverman. Unfortunately, Raj was worn out by our supersized episode, so it's just me to give you a little appetizer before Raj and I return in the next full episode of Battlecast Primetime, debuting February 29th. Let's kick off this bad boy by getting a special update of the latest from the front. Command & Conquer TV started out on commandandconquer.com back in August of last year. In case you missed any of our earlier episodes, the pre-sale disc for Kane's Wrath included the first several episodes of Battlecast Primetime, Command School, and Aftermath. And let's not forget Battlecast Primetime Deutschland, which can be seen on Giga in Germany. If that wasn't good enough for you, well, we're expanding Command & Conquer to iTunes. Starting today, you'll be able to go onto the iTunes Music Store, click on Podcasts, and find all of Command & Conquer TV. We're even working on getting our episodes available as HD podcasts so you can see it all in true 720p high definition. You now have no more excuses for not knowing the latest news about Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath, or the best strategies to use online. Kane's Wrath is just around the corner. But what if you're one of the few who didn't even play Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars? Well, launching concurrently with Kane's Wrath is the Command & Conquer 3 Limited Collection. This limited run version includes both Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars and CNC3 Kane's Wrath. Relive the greatest moments of Command & Conquer 3 or discover the action for the very first time. For several months, EALA has been keeping the mother of all secrets, and in only a few weeks, a major announcement will come, and all of those who purchase either Command & Conquer 3 Limited Collection or Kane's Wrath on the PC will have one more reason to cheer. Be glued to www.commandandconquer.com in only 2 weeks, and look for next month's episode of Battlecast Primetime for even more details on this top secret announcement from EALA. While Raj isn't here in studio, he demanded to be part of this special edition of the 5, and with $5,000 at stake, who can blame him? So Raj, lend us your voice. Players, lend us your ears. It's time for the Battlecast 5.
5.
Round 1, a GDI mirror between Kane's favorite son, Dackle, and Shadow Terran on Tournament Arena. Shadow grabs a tip spike and expands to Dackle's blue field, while Dackle cranks out some APCs and engineers. Big surprise there. The Surveyor deploys, dropping a refinery and watchtower, but one of Dackle's APCs shows up, forcing Shadow to sell for fear of engineers. Shadow knows what to expect from Dackle. After all, he watches Battlecast Primetime, and he's got APCs and rocket troops of his own patrolling his base, taking out Dackle's engineers before they even arrive. Dackle's strategy depends on getting an early econ advantage by capturing and selling his opponent's buildings, and well, that's just not happening here. Both players are massing predators, but Dackle, at just 2 refineries, isn't getting the needed resources. Plain and simple, Shadow outnumbers him. Despite some desperation zone troopers and firehawks, Shadow Terran knocks out Dackle in round 1. Well, Dackle, you'll always have Kane's challenge.
4.
Shadow Terran moves on to another GDI mirror on pipeline problems against number 4 seed Avilo. Their build orders are identical: crane, refinery as they creep to their blue field. Avilo drops a few more refineries at his green field and grabs the expansion point. He's got 8 refineries on 4 fields. But Shadow spent his cash on war factories, watched his Predator rush clear the map in a single push. I guess all those harvesters couldn't fight back. Shadow pulls off another upset.
3.
Number 2 seed, I Am Khufu Nod versus Martyr, GDI on Tournament Arena. Martyr sends an APC engineer rush at Khufu, and wait, what's this? Do my eyes deceive me? Or did the number 31 seed just engineer a Conyard from the second best player on the ladder? Khufu's base was wholly undefended, but Khufu's not throwing in the towel. He's got a war factory at his blue field to queue up another MTV. Martyr's base spans 3 tip fields, and Khufu's crammed into the corner, fending off wave after wave of attack. Nobody puts Baby in the corner, and Martyr can't finish him off. Khufu cranks out Fanatics and Scorpions to hold the line, even teching to Avatars. But Martyr's Railgun Predators finally overpower him. Angry about that Game 1 loss, Khufu comes back to win his next 2 games and advances to round 2.
It's WCG teammates I Am Khufu and Relativity in a GDI mirror on Small Town, USA. Relativity expands south and creeps north in an attempt to control the entire map, while Khufu sprawls around his starting area. It's obvious these two are friends as they shy away from early game harassment. Khufu even passes up a crane with his Firehawk, instead taking out a power plant. They do come back to knock out a tech center at least. 8 minutes in and we finally see the first clash as Relativity secures a north expansion. Khufu's built up a few mammoths, but with only 1 tip field, he knows he can't compete with Relativity's resources. The mammoths charge in and are defeated, and Khufu calls it quits.
1.
And finally, Sorbet Scrin versus Barbecue 199 GDI on Tournament Arena. Both players expand to their blue fields and turtle. See, people actually do turtle in CNC3. Barbecue tries an APC engineer rush, but it's thwarted by a buzzer hive, and the players silently tech. The first punch clocks in about 6 minutes in. Sorbet has storm columns, charge devourers, and tripods defending his central field. But Barbecue sends in railgun predators and rocket troops. It's a close match, but Sorbet's phase field turned the tide. They retreat and rebuild, but this time Barbecue supplements his predators with juggernauts. Sure, they're not as powerful as mammoths, but their long range makes them a good counter for tripods. Unfortunately, Sorbet's got corruptors force firing on his tripods, and they're being healed faster than the juggernauts can damage them, making Barbecue retreat for a second time. As we go to the final push, Barbecue engineers a technology assembler, cutting off Sorbet's supply of tripods, and quickly rushes in with a dozen juggernauts. They outrange Sorbet's defensive line, cutting him off once and for all. Barbecue advances and whips me up a steak. Congrats to all the competitors in the first ever CNC League season, and look for APOC's update in the next episode of Aftermath for the kickoff announcement of CNC League Season 2. If you've got a question that yearns to be answered, you're in luck. We'll test the extent of my Command & Conquer knowledge with your questions in a special edition of our Ask a Developer segment I'm calling Ask a Silverman. Our first question comes from Gebby. He writes, can Epic units gain veterancy? If so, will they gain more garrison spots? Great question, Gabby. Yes, Epic units will gain veterancy just like any other unit. That means that they will get health regen upon becoming a heroic unit. You can also give an Epic unit regen right away if you garrison some engineers in it. The more engineers, the faster it regains health. And if it reaches heroic status, well then that health regen bonus will stack. However, when you build your Epic unit, it will come with all the available garrison spots. So you will not gain additional spots with veterancy. Our next question comes from Marauder0123. He asks, will it be possible to clear a deployed Reckoner like any normal garrison? And will enemy infantry also be able to use it? Well, currently the Reckoner's garrisons act more like an APCs. This means that enemies can't use the garrisons, and your units that are garrisoned in it are not susceptible to grenades, flames, or buzzers. Your allies will be able to use the garrison spots though, just like an APC. This question comes from everyone. In episode 4 of Battlecast Primetime, you promised us we'd see the screen in episode 5. Episode 5, although incredibly awesome, had nothing to do with the screen. Why did you promise us this and then not deliver? P.S. Love the show. Well, everyone, that's an excellent question. The truth of the matter is that unlike other television shows out there that shoot all their whole seasons at once, we shoot each episode of Battlecast Primetime individually, and only a couple of weeks before it premieres online. We do this so that we can consistently bring you the most up-to-the-minute CNC information. When we shot episode 4, we planned to showcase the screen in episode 5, like we said, but a couple of days before was the Community Summit, and we decided that it would be awesome to showcase the first 2v2 match from Kane's Wrath, and use the guys from the Community Summit to do it. In order to pull off that, we had to delay the screen feature. Hopefully, you agreed with that decision. But if not, after this last question I'm about to read, I'll throw you a bone and show you some of that screen stuff in Kane's Wrath. Our last question is also about the Epic units and is brought to us from Tankular. He writes, can Epic units crush tier 3 tanks? How cool would that be? And well, Tankular, how cool is it that actually this is the case? While things might still change due to balancing, the plan is very much to have epic units roll over and squish Tier 3 tanks, just like a tank would flatten infantry. So when you face an epic unit, make sure you protect your tanks from the metal-crunching treads. Mammoth tanks, beware. Keep those questions coming so Amir can come back next episode and answer all of them. And in case you can't find the thread to post, it moved to the Kane's Wrath section of our official forums at www.commandandconquer.com. Now, as promised about 60 seconds ago from yours truly, we get down and dirty to give you a peek at the scrin in Kane's Wrath. First, let's check out the upgraded tripod available for the Reaper 17 subfaction. Like a Devourer, this bad boy can suck up Tiberium and deal extra damage with green lasers. The Reaper subfaction isn't exactly all about subtlety. Traveler 59 will also have a cool new unit, the Cultist. This squad of 5 has no weapons, but as long as at least one member is alive, it can mind control an enemy unit. Imagine flanking a Purifier staging area outside of a Black Hand base with a few of these cultists. Toasty! Traveler is definitely all about finesse. Like the Cultist, their upgraded commando, the Prodigy, has some amazing mind control abilities. Like a Mastermind, he can control a building or a unit and teleport in reinforcements. But this bad boy can also mind control an entire area. Instant chaos amidst a huge battle. One cool new support power for the screen is the Infestation. Think of it as a cross between a lightning spike and a growth accelerator. This power summons a hive on a Tiberium field, which deals damage and unstealths anything that rests in the field. But that's chump change compared to the scrin's new Uber support power, on par with GDI's orbital bombardment and Nod's Tiberium vein detonation. Overlord's Wrath calls in a huge Tiberium meteor down to Earth to decimate enemy forces. You won't want to be in the way of this thing. There's just a taste of the wholesome scrin goodness coming your way in Kane's Wrath. In our February 29th episode of Battlecast Primetime, producer Jim Vasella returns to run these subfactions through the gauntlet. We'll bring you all the support powers, upgrades, and buildings for this alien powerhouse. Don't miss it. Well, that just about wraps things up here. We're back February 29th with Raj, Jason, Greg, and all the CNC action you can handle. And also, log into iTunes and subscribe to the CNC TV podcast to get access to all the episodes on the go, and be alerted when new shows are live. Always remember to Battlecast your match for a shot to be featured here on Battlecast Primetime. For the entire Battlecast Primetime team, I'm David Silverman, and we'll see you on the battlefield. I have Tiger Raj with you.
I'm Raj Joshi.